Alright, so I'm at the bus. Got a little bit of time here. Going to spend about an hour working. I'm going to put a platform floor in as the next step. I'm going to do that prior to putting the plumbing or electrical in, just to make the process a little more organized and neater, because I'll be able to direct the pipes and wiring through the flooring to retain it. So I've got these couple of 2x10s here that have been sitting in the pavilion getting a little tired in the sun, and we're going to chop these up and make the floor support. So the flooring in the middle is going to have a carpet square finish, and the hatches will be 2x2 or 2x4, 2 feet by 4 feet. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to build somewhat of a grid, tying these together with the outside walls, and then that's sort of how they'll be locked in place. So I'll probably be putting some pocket holes on the ends and so on, but right now I'm just going to cut the rough pieces and get started. So I've got 3 of these runners cut to about 3 foot wide. They're going to go across this floor, and then I'll have longer pieces going across, probably 2 of them in this midsection. I'm going to put the grid work in place first. Right now I'm just kind of cleaning up the space. A lot of sawdust and trash and stuff from other parts of the project. But once I have that framework in place to support the platform floor, it'll be a 10-inch tall platform. Once I have that done, at that point I'll be able to start doing plumbing and electrical runs through the floor. I'll be able to use a spade bit and just kind of drill out the holes where the wires are going to go through the pieces to direct and organize the whole setup. So there's going to be a drain line, I do know, running down the edge of this gradually, and then cutting over to there under the composting toilet over here is where it's going to cut over toward this drain. So the whole bus, everything is going to drain over here. We'll have a P-trap under the counter, and then we'll have another one under the bus as well. So that way we make sure we don't get any gases coming up from the tank. The tank will also be vented, and the drain will be vented. So I'm expecting I'll vent up the corner here and probably drill a hole outside of the bus on the side, upper side here, for that vent, and then have some kind of a shield over it on the outside. That may also tie into the composting toilet venting. I have to think about how that's going to work, but I could do all of them together potentially. So anyhow, got to give that some thought. But right now it's clean up, and I'm marking the floor with that level for 24-inch centers for these pieces to be placed. I think what I'm going to do is pocket hole the bottoms. We'll drill into this wood below with pocket hole screws, and then those will be the basis for the platform. Then we'll have some blocking in the middle as well to support the plywood floor or hatches that are going to go over top of that. So anyhow, I'm going to keep moving here, getting the cleaning done. I'm back at the bus. I've been vacuuming here in this area where I'm going to build the platform. I've got some lines marked for 24-inch on center here for the 2x material. I think what I'm going to do is make this easy to remove in case I have to work back here. I'm going to have the uprights easy to unscrew from slots that are made with plywood. So I've cut 2-inch strips of plywood. Those will slot in, and they'll be fastened in place with just a couple of screws. And then the cross supports will likewise be fastened in place with slots and just held under tension. And then the top boards, those will be hinged so that they're easy to pull up. But anyway, the idea here is I want to be able to access to do plumbing work without without it being too difficult. So you'll see as this comes together what the plan is. So that kind of gives you the idea. I've screwed that first strip in, got this spacer block in. That's 22.5 inches, so that'll put this spacer block here 24 inches on center, so that we'll actually have the ability to use the carpet cubes. We'll just be trimming the edges a little bit in the strips for this side, but you know, I wanted to have enough clearance to get into the tub easily if I got to work on jets or get under here. So I want these to be easily removable yet still secure. So you'll see as it develops. Alright, so you'll see I've got the first grid kind of roughed in here. Just using pieces of plywood to act as slots. This will be able to pull in and out. Actually, not easily, but it's not actually fastened with a screw. But yeah, there we go. So I'll be able to pull these pieces in and out as I need to. I'll have a couple of screws kind of holding things together, but otherwise it'll be removable if I need to quickly access plumbing or whatnot. So anyhow, that's the plan. Just enough hardware to keep from bouncing around, but this, the slots are going to be what holds the floor in place. That and some gravity. So anyhow, that's the plan. So I've got some additional blocking here cut. This is a 5-foot piece. These two are 18.5 inches for over there, going that way and that way. And then these two are 22.5 for 24-inch centers to fill in two more 1-2 right there. So I have one more 3-foot piece over there for that side. And then this 5-foot piece is going to go along this way. After that, I'll be blocking in to make the alcove where there'll be a step down for the outside door. And then it's going to have a box built in that alcove that's half the distance, about 5 inches. So we basically have a 5-inch step, and then down again. So anyhow, you'll see it come together here. So I've got the grid work progressing here. These are 2x10s. So they're 9 1/4 from the floor, and 3/4 ply on that makes it a 10-inch raise off that floor platform. So you can see the step down will be pretty easy, like maybe 5 inches down. So it'll make it easier to transition as we go to this back platform. And I've got it kind of blocked together. Nothing's actually screwed to the floor in the way of the risers yet. I will probably put one screw in each of these crossboards just to secure things when I'm done blocking it in. And other than that, it'll be gravity holding this down. And then the hatch pieces are likely also going to be kind of just screwed in a little bit. I don't think I'm going to make it too rigorous, because I want to be able to access the tanks if I need to adjust fittings and so on. And to do that, I need to be able to remove these supports, possibly remove these. So I just want it to be fairly easy to service. So this will be storage under here. The hatches will have a finger hole through the carpet to be able to lift them up. Thinking I'll put them on some piano hinge, but I'm not positive about that. Anyhow, I'm going to keep moving at this. I got a little bit more time tonight to work. Okay, this is where I'm going to stop this evening. I've got the basic framework in place. The edge here is where the staircase is going to go up a level, and then up one more level, and then right here will be the final step. I'll trim that out, and then we'll put a corner guard on it. But anyhow, pretty quick progress on this grid work. After this, I'll be cutting 2x2 squares, and this one here is going to be fixed. It's going to stay in place for the most part. It'll be under the composting toilet, and I'll be cutting notches in these cross supports for the drain pipes. And in that way we'll get we'll kind of keep that as is. It's not really going to be accessed much unless I need to get into this tank, in which case, you know, this will be removed. But I will make it removable without too much grief so that I can do maintenance. So anyhow, that is it for the evening. Pretty good progress. So I've continued working here on this framework for the platform floors. This is by the outside door. I've got a base here for a 5-inch step, and I'm walking out the ladder here. Okay, so I've got the base of a 5-inch step. There's going to be a piece of plywood here going across all the way. And what I'm going to do is I'll have a removable sort of plywood lid with carpet on top that will go in here. That'll just be able to lift up. And what this will be actually was, I was thinking what I would do is line it with some rubber and put wrenches and other mechanical tools in this step. So it's going to kind of be a toolbox for mechanical repairs. And I believe what I'm going to do is drill the holes for water lines coming from the water fill, which I think, well, electrical actually. Electrical is going to come in over here. But I'll also have some water lines going to and from the pump. They'll be most likely hidden in here as well. I've pulled the tank forward there. I'm going to start putting some connectors on. Once I've done that, I'll block it in place, pushing it back forward again. But yeah, I can just slide this tank pretty easily right in the slot right now. But I'll block it. And then similarly over there, I'll put the connectors in by pulling it forward just to make it easier. But anyhow, the plan here is that the floor will actually be completely level all the way to the door when that piece is in place. That I'm going to build over this. That'll be made of plywood, sort of a plywood box upside down. And the reason for that is I don't want any tripping hazards at night as we're walking through front to back. It's not likely we're going to use the side door very much for access into the bus, unless I get an aluminum staircase, in which case I might rebuild this plan a little bit. But for right now, this is going to work nicely. There'll be some tool storage in here for automotive wrenches and so on. And at the same time, it'll be safe because there's going to be a complete flat spot here. So anyhow, I'm going to keep going. Continuing this evening on working on this floor, I've cut some pieces here, put a little hole in them to be able to quickly access this cover. This will end up being a toolbox. The next thing I'm going to build here is another cover. I'm going to build a frame that goes over it to hold a plywood piece. And then I'm going to continue cutting pieces of plywood for this section. And I'm going to make sure I can do 2x2s here for these 3 compartments. I'm similarly going to be drilling a hole through the carpet, probably with a hole saw to make it cleaner. So I've got the platform here in the doorway built. Basically we'll have out here a little slot to throw some stuff, maybe rolled up tools or something that I use routinely. Could be stuff like the electrical cord, dongles, things like that we just want to grab when we pull into a site. So anyway, a little cavity under each side of this. This actually will lift up. And then if I really need to get into tools, I've got a tool cubby here. I'm thinking for long diesel wrenches and things like that. All of these compartments will get a coat of paint. And this is going to get some shelf liner or rubber or something like that as well. So anyhow, what I'm going to do is continue on cutting pieces for the top of the platform. I want to get this midsection kind of set up before I do the electrical. Sorry, I'll fix that later. Midsection set up before I do the electrical, and in the plumbing is what I'm trying to say. So anyhow, I'm going to keep at it. So I put some cross bracing after cutting 24-inch squares. I've got some 22.5-inch cross braces of 2x material to strengthen the middle so that when we walk we don't have a problem. So what I'm going to do now is use that 3/4 bit, and I'm going to drill and cut a slot for this wiring to go through on that side close to the drill there, and then I'll put this hatch in place. Okay, so I got a slot cut here for the wires, and now I can put that hatch in place. So that's what I'll do next. So I've got 3 sections here with hatches. What I'm going to do over here is I'll probably cut longer pieces, longer skinnier pieces for all the way across on both sides, and that way it'll be a little bit easier for me to make sure that they fit. I'm just going to slot them in so that they kind of tuck into the studs and kind of tuck into these metal pieces, etc. So that will make it a little bit easier using one longer piece and cutting it to fit. So at least that's the plan. So anyhow, this bus will have no shortage of storage, that's for sure. At the bus, I've got a few hours here on a Saturday. I think what I'm going to do right now is build this middle step and then finish creating the boards around the perimeter, including over here as well. And after that, I think I'm going to put the battery bank under the floor over here and get it mounted today. So might be a little more than I can chew today, but I'm going to get started on it. So at this point, I've framed out that middle step, and the next thing I'm going to do here is cut some 5.5-inch wide pieces for there and down low here, and then we'll possibly revise this to create that rim I was talking about earlier. Got to think about it, but for now I think I'm going to just finish it this way around the floor before I decide to build that ledge. So anyhow, I'm going to start cutting the plywood pieces to go over top, and then I'll cut the plywood to fit in these sections. So at this point, I've got those 2 steps roughed in. It's a pretty comfortable step up, and now I'm going to start working on these edges and getting pieces cut for them. I've added some blocking here against the whirlpool. So what I'm going to do is take a 24-inch piece, and I'll cut an L-shaped piece for this, going from here over to that over there. So take some measurements and get that cut out. So it's starting to get dark. This is where I'm going to pause for the evening. I've got the rough end down here on these steps. There'll be some trim wood, thin trim, either wood or metal or something, right in here and right at the bottom of that, and then we'll trim out along the tub. Still thinking about whether I'm building this as a shelf all the way through, maybe a shelf cubby or just a tile ledge. I'm not positive on that yet. So anyhow, I've got the pieces here cut against the whirlpool. Right here I'll be building additional spacers. I've got to think about how they're going to join up to that metal. The thought had occurred to me to try to maybe make this a cubby step in through here, but I'm not sure if that's wise. I think I need the space width-wise through this lavatory area. So anyhow, what I'm going to do now is clean up and head on out. I'll be back at it tomorrow. So I'm back at the bus here on a Sunday afternoon. I'm going to finish these spots here where I need to cover up or concrete flooring anyway, is what I'm trying to say. And once I have that done, I think I'm going to put some paint down inside and on top of these pieces before I put the carpeting squares down. I might not do the tops. I might just use polyvinyl acetate adhesive to cover them. It might not be paint because I'm going to be sticking the carpet tiles down. I'm not sure how well that sticks to paint, but I guess I can read the information on the carpet or look up some videos, etc. But that's what I'm doing today, finishing this. Alright, so I've cut the 4 pieces here that I need for the last bit of the floor. I'm debating whether I'm going to segment the 2x4 that I've cut inside according to these sizes, or if I'm just going to affix these and have to pull up the whole 2x4. I'm leaning towards segmenting it so that each piece can come up on its own. So anyhow, I'm about to go put these in the bus and then mark that, probably mark that piece for cutting. So I'm making these L-shaped pieces to kind of pop into the sockets here. We'll set that down. It might be a bit challenging. There it goes. And up against the wall there with the wire. So these are at the same level as the top surface here. And we'll proceed to the next one. Okay, so there's the second L-shaped piece. We're going to move to the third and the fourth here. So anyhow, it's going well. Alright, so I've got these all 4 finished as far as the rough end. Still got to paint stuff and whatnot, but I notched this, and so the wires would come through. Same thing on that side, and it's likely I'll build as part of the electrical cabinet, you know, some sort of a decorative piece. It may hold some toiletries below for the bathroom, etc. I'm thinking I'm going to put the lavatory sink here, and well, like I said, have some sort of a way to shield the electrical. But I think I'm going to put the little lavatory sink here with a mirror, and the door I think will be an accordion door. That's what I think I'm going to do with that space. So anyhow, pretty pleased with this. It's definitely coming along. The next step here is going to be to take these up, vacuum the inside, get the inside painted, get the top side covered with some kind of a primer for the adhesive, maybe wood glue brushed on just to kind of keep the surface from being affected as much by moisture. I'm not sure. I have to read the product, you know, for the carpet squares. There is an adhesive primer. I don't know if that's a waterproofing agent. So anyhow, this floor is definitely coming along. Got the steps built, and I think that's pretty good progress. I'm pleased. So what we're going to have is the composting toilet here. This will be the washer dryer combo that'll be vented to the outside. There's going to be a propane line coming up, probably right in there, dropping down. I'll probably drill it from underneath after I drill a little pilot hole through. Not quite sure. That'll be a bit challenging. Or the propane may come up with the drain line. So either way, it's going to be against this wall, coming over here to the stove. That's the plan anyway, because that way it'll also feed the hot water tank, hot water heater that's going to go up here. And then I'm thinking the lavatory sink, it'll be a small sink with a mirror, possibly medicine cabinet, and a little shelf up here for toiletries. Over here it'll be sectioned off for the electrical cabinet. I'm not quite sure what kind of a door that'll be, but there'll be some sort of a protective door there for avoiding water contacting electricity. So anyhow, that's where we're at. And this platform floor turned out just like I had envisioned. So I'm pleased with it. Okay, and here's a shot of this with the floor cleared off of stuff. So that'll be awfully nice once it's all finished up with carpet and looking good. So this water heater is kind of in the way. I'm going to go ahead and solve that problem by unboxing it and just hanging it on the wall, so I can get the box and packing stuff out of my way. I'm actually very impressed with the packing of this water heater. This is a Urine tankless. I bought it from Amazon, and they've got these corner blocks in to keep the inside box protected, so that's pretty awesome. So anyway, I'm going to proceed with getting this out and getting it mounted. So the water heater box had a nice installation template. I'm cutting the cardboard to use it on the wall to get the holes positioned. So I used the template here, and I made sure I had 3 inches of clearance on this side because it calls for 2 inches of clearance, and I still have to finish this wall back here, and I think I'm going to probably have it scooped out a little bit more for the shower fixture. The mixing valve is what I'm talking about, actually. Although that might be low enough here that a shelf will hide that, so I'll probably have a little bit of a ledge down here that goes across, and the mixing valve will be just below that. But anyhow, I've got this mounted so that I'm not hitting the metal here. I don't want to have to try to put the vent through that. But I've got this in place. Got this hanging screw, the first screw to hang it. This one marks the center of the hole. So I'll be able to take these measurements and make sure this hole is correct for the vent. So what it does is I believe it pulls the outside air in an outer vent, and then it exhausts the hot air through a center vent. So you'll see that that's how the design is. The center vent's hot, the outer vent is cooler air with the rubber gasket here. And I believe there'll be an elbow that I have to buy still. Hope it's not too pricey, but anyhow, should be able to get an elbow for that goes right outside. And I think I'll just use some high temperature caulk on the outside, and then I'll probably do a triangle of stainless steel coming down on both sides. But these are stainless vent. This is a pretty high BTU unit. Some of these actually will use PVC to vent, but not this one. This is pretty high BTUs. I wanted to be able to fill this big tub up in a hurry when we use it. So anyhow, that's the plan. It's going right there on the wall. It's a little thicker than I was hoping for, but I guess that'll help me out as far as justifying the notion of building a cabinet next to it that's fairly significant in its capacity. So anyhow, I'll just move the composting toilet out a little bit and probably build a cabinet all the way up that kind of hides the water heater. So that's what I'm thinking. I gotta mind the washer dryer door. That's the thing with this bus conversion stuff. You've got such little space to work with that you kind of have to be aware of how things interact with one another, wiring and the plumbing and the clearances for opening doors and so on and so forth. So anyhow, I'm going to keep hanging this unit here. After putting it on the wall and seeing how it looks, I think I'm actually going to move it over here so it hangs more out of the way. This is going to be too much in the way of where the composting toilet's going to go. So anyhow, I'm going to reuse the template and put it over this way. So I have the tankless hot water heater mounted. I've marked the perimeter with some screws here so that I can connect the dots to drill that out or kind of saw that out. I'm probably going to end up having to take this back down unless I use a keyhole saw or something to finish that cut. But I just wanted it out of the way, kind of get a feel for how it's going to fit. The door here may be a bit of an issue, or the controls on the machine might be an issue. This really is a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. So I may have to rethink its mounting. The thought had occurred to me to try to mount it this way in this cabinet. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I could possibly vent it out higher and in that way make it a little bit easier to deal with, but that makes the cut more complicated. So it remains to be seen how I'm going to handle this. Time will tell, but at least now it's out of my way so I can proceed. You know, I've got a lot of penetrations on the outside bus walls and in the roof to deal with here real soon, so you know, hopefully I come up with a good game plan for that. You know, the other option here would be to, you know, mount this over closer to the bedroom on the other side of that wall, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. This is much thicker than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't paying attention to that dimension. I just assumed it would be like the electric one I have at home, which is 2/3 this thick. So anyhow, it is what it is. I'll figure out how to make it work. So the next thing I'm going to do here is actually unbox this road commode. Gentleman on Etsy. Don't know if his name's on the shipping label. Yeah, Andrew McNee, I believe is the name, from California. He has an Etsy shop where he makes these. He actually did me a solid because I'm going to divert the urine into the tank, and wrote me a little note on the box. He spent some time reworking the diverter so it works for my application, and let him know how it works out. So that was really nice to write the note and actually take some extra time. So we're looking here. This is a basically a wooden box toilet seat. It's going to have a computer fan blowing out through a hose. I don't know if that's included. I got to look at it, but I have some fans. So I'm going to unbox this and kind of dry fit it here in the space just to get a sense of the dimension relative to this water heater. My intention is actually to put this commode on a little bit of a caster system so it can kind of roll in and tuck back. And then I'll have another one. I believe I'm going to tuck it under the floor over here so that if two people need to use the restroom at the same time, which does happen, we can do that and kind of have his and hers bathroom facilities, which is always nice. So anyway, I'm going to get this unboxed. This is the only one I have right now. I want to see how it works out. But we'll position it and get a feel for the space here. Okay, so here's the way these are built. We've got a standard toilet seat, which is nice. It's actually a slightly elongated seat. It's got nicely beveled edges on it. I'll probably take it apart and put some gloss paint on it to protect it. We've got the urine diverter, which he thickened up for me. You can see I'll be able to get a tube on that and clamp it, and then I can drain that instead of into this jug. It's a nice touch, the name. Instead of into the pee jug, which is normally part of this mix, we will be able to plumb it right through the bottom and down into the drain. I'll do a little looping of that, sort of as a trap, and then I'll probably also block this in place at the bottom so that it stays still. But it's a nice design. It's got reinforcement in the corners, got some cushions here. It's actually done a nicer job than what I would have done if I tried to build my own. It's got the 5-gallon bucket with the scoop out, and yeah, I think it's nice work. So I'm going to be putting casters on the bottom that are low profile. They're actually right over here. Show those. So these casters have a low profile to them, so they'll go right on the edge, one on each side, so that we can slide this in and out of the way. And then I'll probably put some hooks on the wall to hold it in place, you know, when we're moving. So anyway, I think this is a pretty nice commode. Let's see how it fits in the space. So I think what I'm going to do is actually build this so that it's on the casters, and when you're using it, it's out away from the wall. And then when you're done using it, you just slide it back in to the wall, and then it's sort of at the base of the cabinet at that point, and mostly hidden. So I may actually build a secondary lid on top of it or something like that, but I think it's just going to be centered. When you're wanting to use it, we'll put a handle right in here and just pull it out on the casters. Maybe put some guides on the sides out of wood on that plank right there, and then off to this side we'll have the storage for the coconut core or whatever other media. And similarly, we'll be able to move this out of the way when we're trying to load the washer and dryer. So I think that's what we're going to do for clearance from the tankless water heater, and to kind of tuck it out of the way. That's my first thought anyway. So we'll have a shelf that kind of comes down in here and built so that you can just pull the toilet out when you're ready to use it. So I think that ought to be a nice way to handle that need for space, so to speak. Now the other thought I had would be to put it on a diagonal. That seems a little awkward. So anyway, it's a pretty nicely built commode. From what I can tell, it's worth the money. It was much cheaper than buying a Nature's Head or Airhead. Okay, so I have just added these casters. I'm going to flip this over and we'll see how it rolls. Alright, so that works handy dandy here. Probably actually reinforce things. I'm going to sit on it here and see how it feels. Feels pretty secure. That's good. So I'm going to now test this and see if it fits in the empty space under there, just as a curiosity for the second commode. Alright, so test fitting this, it looks to me like if I notch the 2x a bit, I'll be able to make this fit. Alternatively, I can shorten up the height a little bit, and then shorten the bucket lip a little bit, and that would also work. So that'll be the plan for the back for the second toilet. Just get another one of these on casters and just roll it underneath here. When it's not being used, I'll have a divider put in to kind of secure it, or a track for it, and that'll be a hideaway little second toilet. I think that's pretty slick, honestly. So I'll have to get another one of these when I get to that part. So as I mentioned before, back here the same carpet squares are going to be used for the flooring. So but yeah, I think the modification would be pretty simple to make. Just shorten the bucket a little bit, and if needed, actually, I gotta look at that. I might not need to shorten the bucket. We'll see. Yeah, maybe a little bit. So cut the lip here a little bit so it fits, or leave this intact and just notch the 2x, which probably would make more sense, honestly. Especially if I'm adding another divider to support the floor, it'll be fine. So that might be the smarter way to do it, just cut a notch out for the toilet seat. So yeah, probably wiser to do it that way. Anyhow, just test fitting, and I'm pleased with the result. It should work. So last thing I'm going to do before leaving tonight is roll a coat of this multi-purpose primer on. This I got for peel and stick. It's what I'm going to do over this wood on the top surface. I'm going to coat all this with the primer, let it dry, then I'll put the carpet down. Hopefully this primer will waterproof the top of the wood, is what I'm expecting as the prep. So anyhow, I'm going to get at it. So yeah, that's some pretty smelly stuff. Looks like it's kind of like a glue almost, as far as its composition. So hopefully that'll waterproof the tops, so that when I stick the carpet down, we've got a nice protected surface, and hopefully the carpets protect from moisture hitting the wood too. So we'll see. I guess worst case down the road we'll just replace the plywood, but I'd expect it to last. So anyhow, I'm going to continue with this step. I'm not putting it on the edges here where I'm going to do some tile work, most likely here, and I've got to decide if I'm bringing that band around, but I can still build off of this and do that. So for now, I'm just going to get the carpet surfaces where I'm definitely putting carpet. So I'm going to proceed. Alright, so I'm almost done here. This is pretty quick putting this down. And it's not taking a whole lot for this small space, but I've got the back to do yet. So anyhow, I'm going to finish brushing this and we'll let it dry. Then we'll get the carpets squares tacked down the next time I come out. I think what I'll do is I won't paint the bottoms of these lids, but I will be painting the supports and the floor just to protect from moisture. So anyhow, that's where we're at. I'm going to keep painting and finish up for the night. It's dark out. And there it is. Got that milky looking primer on everything here in the middle. So I think what I'm going to do with this wood is just paint it in chocolate brown that kind of matches both the carpet and the wood. Or maybe even a darker color like walnut or something. But anyhow, well, I guess the other option there would be to finish it in cedar, but that's a little much. So I'm going to let this dry. Next time I come out, I'll be putting carpet squares down on these. And I'll just start with the normal size pieces in the center. And then cut accordingly for the other ones. So should be pretty quick with a razor. I'm also going to be cutting finger holes in the carpet through the wood, probably 3/4 inch. To be able to pop these hatches up easily when we want to access storage. So the floor will have some finger holes. What we'll probably do is throw some area rugs over the carpet, just to kind of hide those finger holes and add some more disposable, so to speak, carpeting to protect this carpeting. And then I'll be cutting pieces of wood, probably 1/2 inch ply, to finish out this edge here of the whirlpool. I'm going to make that easily removable for service if I need to get to the pump or whatnot. I'm only going to hold that in with a couple screws. I may actually on this side just use some steel venting. Just tack that in, paint it maybe white, and then put that there. But here it's going to be wood, just so that I get some, in case there's moisture there, I get some airflow. If I have a drip or something. So anyhow, I'm very pleased with how this turned out, and next time it'll be finished with carpet. And here's another view of everything, still with that primer on the floor, but this gives a bit more perspective. So once we've got this section done, we'll start working on the back section and building the bed. And I've got to get the linear actuators and other parts that I need to make that come together. But we'll at least get the bed frame put in and have it capable of just resting on its main supports in the down position, the sleeping position. The linear actuators will be used for when we want to access the roof, for the skylight hatch, and when we want to move it up so it's out of the way when we're using the couch lounging area in the back. So anyhow, just a different perspective on the work that I've done. I'm excited. Alright, so I'm going to start putting the carpet squares down. Those are the carpet squares. Just got to open that box. I'm going to start here on this full one, and I'll do the other ones that are full squares first. And there we go. That was super easy. First carpet square down. I'm going to get this one laid and then cut this one. So I got the first step, I got the second step. I've got the 3 main panels here covered and carpeting these now. This is super easy. These carpet squares are just stupidly easy to use, peel and stick. Actually kind of impressed with how easy they cut too. So this is Foss floors. This is from Lowe's. Premium self-stick carpet. I think this box was like 90 bucks. They say it covers 60 square feet, 15 tiles. It should be just enough to do this middle section and the floor in the back. If I'm lucky, maybe it'll be enough to do that top of the couch area back there. I may carpet that over the insulation with the OSB. I'll probably just put some quarter ply down over it, and if I have enough tiles, I'll finish it that way. Otherwise, it'll be something else, maybe just stain the wood. So anyway, I'm going to keep at it. This is looking good. And right here is the finished product of this middle floor. The carpet tiles work pretty well. I still have to drill the finger holes with a hole saw, but that'll be easy to do. So anyway, I'm pleased with these. It is a little frustrating though. I don't think I'm going to have quite enough. I might have to buy another box. I just threw the box up here to keep it out of the way, but I may have to buy another box to finish this back area's floor down low there. We'll see. I'm going to lay the tiles out dry after I sweep real quick and see what I'm dealing with, if I can finish the flooring there with them or not. So anyhow, but this is the middle area here that I've built, and I think it's pretty solid. I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. So it's going to be highly functional. So after thinking through the plan again, I've decided actually this water heater is going over this way, and I actually cut my finger, wrapped it in some napkin and electrical tape. I cut my finger on the vent. The rubber piece came off and I didn't realize how sharp it was. It's very sharp. It's like a knife. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and jigsaw that vent hole out before I mount it. So I decided to put it over here closer to the shower wall instead of where, I know I'm flip-flopping on this, but the reason is it was hanging too low and was going to make it hard to turn on the washer dryer. I do want the washer to face this way toward the bathroom or the lavatory, just to kind of keep the laundry in the back of the bus, so to speak. So anyway, that's the next thing I'm going to do here is jigsaw that hole. Alright, so got that cut out. Take the wood out here. Now I'll be able to remove the foam, hopefully, and should see metal. Yep. So I'll clean up the foam, and I'll find the center of that hole and punch through the outside, and then I'll measure it once I buy the pipe. I'll measure that hole and we'll be good to go as far as going through the side wall of the bus. So right now what I can do is go ahead and hang the tank. And this will be zero clearance up here. I'll be able to still put the ledge. There's going to be the ledge to hold the wire chase. Probably also a shelf here at that level coming out. So it's zero clearance from the outside because that is, again, just to suck the air in for combustion. The hot pipe's in the center. So I pulled the plastic off the Whirlpool. I'm going to leave these protective caps on, but I'll need to wipe it down. The oil kind of stuck to sawdust from when I oiled the cedar. Just need to clean it up with a rag, get it nice and clean. I did cut some finger holes in the hatches here. I've got one in each of the three hatches. You can see the one here. There's one over here in the back, and then one right there. And then I cut one in each of the step hatches. So that'll make it easier to pull them up. So at this point I'm ready to pull these hatches and get the wood underneath painted and then start doing plumbing. Before I leave tonight, I'm going to go in the back here. I'm going to clean up the mess that's back in there on the floor, and I'll be doing the primer for the carpet tiles on the floor back there. So I don't believe we need to take the floor all the way to the wall because I'm going to be building cabinets, sort of lounging legs on each side, and then some storage for clothing, which may be one and the same. So that's the plan for clothing storage. We're going to have storage cubes, I believe, and there may be some storage on the back side of this wall as well, and then maybe steps going up into the bed that have storage. So anyhow, I'm going to get cleaning up here and get that surface ready to accept the peel and stick tile carpet tile, I should say. Alright, so I've been cleaning up here, sweeping things off, getting the electrical supplies and the diesel heater I had stowed back here. Kind of move it out of the way. That's the diesel heater there. I'll be needing to install that. Winter's coming. So anyhow, I'm going to get this flooring swept up pretty good. And I think I'm going to put the carpeting from about where, maybe just past that line where that divider is, over here in the middle, and then into the cavity a bit as well, although it doesn't have to look pretty back there. I just want it to be functional back there to be able to slide things on. So anyway, so maybe I'll have enough. It looks like 4 squares and some scraps ought to do it. I'll have to take some measurements. I have 5 squares to work with and some scraps. So like I said, I'll be building side lounging areas. I can just paint the wood there, you know, overlapping this a little bit if I can. So I'll find the center line and work off the center line for this area. Anyhow, I'm going to keep at it, cleaning up the space, getting the vacuum back here to suck up this dust. Okay, I found the floor here and got it clean enough that I can put that carpet primer down. I'm going to mark the center line and just dry fit the squares of carpet, see how much I have, and then we'll get the primer laid down and put the carpet down the next time I come out. It's getting fairly late out here, dark outside. It's not my favorite at the end of summer when the days get shorter. I'm sure it isn't yours either. Anyhow, I'm gonna get this wrapped up and head home for the evening here in a minute after I put the primer down. Okay, so I've got this multi-purpose primer. I'm gonna not waste a paintbrush this time, and they were cheap paintbrushes, but I'm just gonna use this folded over scrap of carpet as my paintbrush, and I'm gonna go start under there and then go over this way and go maybe 4 or 5 inches past the support there. I might make a couple marks on the floor for the stop real quick, and at that point I'll get the primer where I'm going to put the carpet, and again, I'm not putting it on the very edges because I'm going to build something there. I'll just come back and paint those bare spots. So anyway, I'm going to get at it with the primer, and then I'll be leaving for the night. Okie dokie, I've got just enough there in the carpet to do this space, and I'll be using the scraps back behind, so we'll have basically 4 squares, 1 square, 1 whole square, and then we'll fill in under where the toilet's going to go with some additional pieces and whatnot. So anyhow, I think this will be good. I won't have to buy any more carpet. Kind of lucked out on that one because they don't sell them as individual carpet pieces. You have to buy a whole other box if you're short, so it's a little frustrating. I wish they'd open a box and sell them piecemeal to finish your job. But anyhow, I've got this ready to dry overnight, and then I'll be able to put the carpet in back here.